The grand hall of the Orion Concord was alive with colors, voices, and lights. Delegates from dozens of worlds had gathered under the enormous dome, which reflected the distant stars like sparkling gems. The room was filled with shapes and forms that Elias Ward had never seen before. Some delegates had translucent skin that shimmered like glass, others had multiple limbs, or eyes that glowed softly in patterns. For Elias, a human diplomat, it was both exciting and overwhelming. He adjusted his uniform and stepped carefully over the polished floor, taking in the grandeur of the hall. Each species had its own way of showing respect. The Korth bowed low, their long tails sweeping behind them. The Minari hovered slightly above the ground, wings folding gracefully, and the crystalline Aetheri stood perfectly still, their shimmering bodies reflecting the hall's lights like living prisms. Elias had been part of diplomatic missions before, but never anything like this. The Orion Concord was the central council of the known galaxy, where decisions that affected thousands of worlds were made. And today, humans were finally being allowed to attend as full participants, not just observers. The hall quieted as the master of ceremonies, a tall being with silver skin and 6 eyes, stepped forward. His voice echoed across the chamber. Delegates, welcome to the 472nd convocation of the Orion Concord. Today, we gather to discuss matters of trade, security, and cooperation. May your voices be heard and your intentions be clear. Applause. In forms Elias could barely recognize, echoed through the hall. He smiled nervously, aware that every human gesture looked simple compared to the complex etiquette of other species. Then, the spotlight shifted to the crystalline podium at the center. All eyes turned to Lady Serenia Valar. Her body was made of a clear, shimmering material that refracted the lights into thousands of colors. When she moved, the light danced like a living rainbow. She was known throughout the galaxy as a wise and respected diplomat of the Aetheri people. Her words could calm conflicts, and her presence could command attention without a single raised voice. Elias watched carefully as she approached the podium, her steps silent yet precise. Every delegate leaned forward slightly, waiting for her speech. Even the background hum of machinery in the hall seemed to pause. Serenia's voice was melodic but strong. Fellow delegates, she began, her tone calm and measured. We gathered today to discuss the future of the galaxy, to share knowledge, and to build trust among our worlds. She spoke of trade agreements, shared scientific research, and efforts to maintain peace. Her words were careful, respectful, and intelligent. Elias nodded along, admiring how she balanced authority and warmth. Then, unexpectedly, she looked directly at him. Elias felt a strange sensation, as though all eyes were focused on him, yet no one said anything. Serenia took a deep breath, her voice softening slightly, yet echoing clearly through the hall. If only you were my husband, human. The words hung in the air. For a moment, there was complete silence. Elias froze, his mouth open, but no sound came out. Round the hall, delegates blinked, tilted their heads, or shifted nervously. Some of the younger species whispered to each other in strange, melodic tones. Elias felt a heat rise to his face. Was this a joke? A mistake? A cultural custom he had never learned? He looked at Serenia, who was still standing perfectly upright, her body reflecting the light. Her expression was calm, almost serene. The master of ceremonies cleared his throat, a nervous sound that echoed in the hall. Lady Serenia, could you clarify? Serenia nodded slowly. Yes, I understand that my words may sound unusual to some, especially to humans. Please allow me to explain. She paused, giving Elias a small, polite smile. In Aetheri culture, declaring that someone could be your husband is not a romantic gesture. It is a statement of trust, respect, and admiration. It recognizes qualities in a person that are rare and valuable: intelligence, courage, patience, and fairness. The hall seemed to exhale. Elias's confusion slowly turned into understanding. The murmurs around him quieted as delegates leaned closer to hear more. Serenia continued, her voice steady and clear. Humanity has shown these qualities time and again. Your species has solved problems through cooperation, innovation, and compassion. In our terms, to say if only you were my husband is to declare that we trust you with matters of great importance. Elias felt a mix of relief and pride. He had expected diplomacy to be formal, but he had never thought it could carry such depth of meaning. Around him, the delegates seemed to absorb the weight of her words. Some ethery nodded subtly. Other species whispered quietly, curious to learn more about this unique custom. Serena's gaze lingered on Elias for a moment longer. Then she turned back to the hall. Let this statement not be misunderstood. We do not seek to bind humans to our ways. Instead, we recognize the potential in your species to act with wisdom and care where others may fail. This convocation may have many voices, but it needs leaders who can unite, not divide. Applause followed, this time more enthusiastic and respectful. Elias straightened, still trying to process the attention he had just received. Lady Serenia had made him the center of the room without demanding it, simply by acknowledging qualities in humanity that were rare and precious. As the delegates took their seats again, Elias was approached by a young translator from the Orion Concord, a small, furry creature with bright eyes and a nervous energy. Sir, Lady Serenia wishes to speak with you privately. She says it is urgent. Elias nodded, heart still racing. He followed the translator through corridors lined with panels of shimmering light. They entered a quiet room filled with crystalline furniture, softly glowing in pastel shades. Serenia was already there, standing by a window that overlooked the endless stars. Human, she said, her voice gentle. I apologize if my public words startled you. That was not my intention. I needed the council to understand the seriousness of the matter before they could see it clearly. You have something rare in your species' qualities, I trust. Elias swallowed nervously. I think I understand, Lady Serenia. But why me? Why a human? She turned slightly, her eyes reflecting the starlight. Because humans are not easily blinded by tradition, not easily swayed by fear. You can think clearly, act bravely, and make decisions with fairness. And now, the galaxy faces a situation that requires those traits. Many of our species hesitate, but I believe humanity can help. Elias felt the weight of her words pressing on his shoulders. He was only one man, but the responsibility felt enormous. The idea that humans could play a critical role in the safety and future of so many worlds was both terrifying and exhilarating. Serenia smiled, as though she could read his thoughts. I did not say this lightly. In our culture, to trust someone in this way is a great honor. I need your guidance, not for me alone, but for many lives. Will you help us? Elias hesitated only a moment. He looked out at the stars, imagining all the worlds, the species, the challenges that lay ahead. And then he nodded. Yes, I will do my best. Serena's smile widened. Then we begin, human. Together, we will face what comes next. As Elias left the private room, he felt a new sense of purpose. The grand hall had been a place of awe and confusion at first, but now he understood it as a stage for something greater, a meeting of minds, a test of trust, and the beginning of a partnership that could change the galaxy forever. Outside, the stars twinkled endlessly, as if the universe itself was watching the first step of humanity's new role among the stars. And for Elias Ward, a simple human, that step would lead him into challenges, discoveries, and adventures he could never have imagined. The stars outside the Concorde's dome stretched endlessly, glittering like diamonds scattered across black velvet. Commander Elias Ward walked slowly down the quiet corridor of the Orion Concord building. The hallways were lit by soft, ambient lights that made the walls glow faintly, reflecting patterns like flowing water. Despite the beauty around him, Elias's mind was busy, replaying Lady Serenia Valor's words, if only you were my husband, human. He had learned in the last few hours that the phrase was not romantic. Still, it carried weight. It was more than respect, it was a declaration of trust. He could feel the responsibility pressing on his shoulders. Humanity had been recognized for something rare and precious, and now it was time to understand what that meant. A small chime echoed softly, pulling him from his thoughts. A door slid open, revealing a private meeting room. Lady Serenia waited inside, standing beside a tall crystalline table that seemed to glow from within. Her shimmering form reflected the light in gentle waves, and her voice, soft yet clear, filled the room. "Human," she said, inclining her head slightly. "I hope you have a moment. We have much to discuss." Elias nodded. "Yes, Lady Serenia. I want to understand. Why did you make that statement in the hall?" Serenia moved to the window and gestured for Elias to join her. Many species in the Concord are cautious, even fearful, of the unknown. They hesitate when they must act. Sometimes, hesitation costs lives. My people have watched humanity carefully across the decades. We see qualities that are rare: courage without arrogance, curiosity without recklessness, and unity even under pressure. These are the qualities needed now. Elias listened, trying to absorb her words. "So, you weren't speaking about me personally?" "Not exactly," she said, her tone gentle. "I was speaking to humanity through you. In our culture, to declare someone as a potential partner in this way is to place trust. It is symbolic, but serious. It shows that we believe you can take responsibility, think clearly, and act with care when the galaxy faces challenges." Elias felt a mix of relief and honor. He had never imagined being chosen in such a way, not for personal reasons, but for humanity's potential. The thought was humbling. "What is this challenge, then?" he asked. Serenia's gaze turned outward, toward the stars. "There is an anomaly in the outer regions of our sector. A series of energy fluctuations have been detected, originating from systems that should be stable. My people call it the shimmering fault. It appears to be natural at first, but we suspect it is caused by ancient machinery buried deep beneath planetary crusts. Many species fear it, believing it too dangerous to investigate. They hesitate, fearing failure or conflict." Elias frowned. "And you want humans to step in?" "Yes," Serenia replied, "because humanity is capable of working in unexpected ways. You do not allow fear to control you. You adapt, you observe, and you solve problems. These qualities are needed to understand the source of the shimmering fault and to stabilize it before it spreads." Elias thought of his training as a diplomat and an engineer. He had learned to assess situations, gather information, and propose solutions carefully. Perhaps humanity's strength was not in power or technology alone, but in the ability to act wisely when uncertainty ruled. "Will you guide us?" Serenia asked. Her voice carried warmth and determination. "We cannot do this alone. We need your insight, your perspective, and your courage." Elias hesitated. The task sounded enormous. The shimmering fault could affect entire star systems. But then he realized something. Humanity had always faced challenges that seemed impossible. From exploring unknown oceans to reaching other planets, humans had learned to endure, adapt, and overcome. "I will help," Elias said finally. "Tell me everything you know about this shimmering fault." Serenia's expression softened. "Very well. The fault has been growing for decades. It is centered around a cluster of planets that once belonged to a species called the Fordburn. They disappeared long ago, leaving behind technology that we do not fully understand. Their machines are still active beneath the surface of these worlds, and their energy patterns are spreading, affecting nearby systems. If left unchecked, the fault could destabilize entire star clusters." Elias's brow furrowed. "Why didn't anyone investigate before?" "Because fear holds many species back," Serenia said, her voice calm but firm. "They feared the machines themselves, believing they could cause harm. Others assumed the fault was a natural phenomenon and dismissed it. But we know better. The Fordburn were advanced beyond imagination. Their creations are powerful, and if used wisely, they could benefit the galaxy. If mismanaged, they could destroy it." Elias took a deep breath. "Then this is not just a challenge. It is a test of responsibility." Serenia nodded. "Exactly. That is why I spoke in the hall. I needed the Concord to understand that the situation requires thought, courage, and collaboration. Humanity is uniquely suited for this. And now, I am asking you to act on behalf of your species. Will you accept?" Elias looked down at his hands, imagining the lives at stake, the trust that had been placed in him, and the opportunity to prove that humanity was capable of greatness. He nodded slowly. I will accept. I will do everything I can to help. A small smile appeared on Serena's face, the kind of smile that radiated both relief and hope. Good, then we begin. But first, there is much to prepare. The journey will be long, and the shimmering fault is only the beginning. We will need resources, plans, and allies. Elias spent the next several hours in the private room, listening to Serena explain everything her people knew. She showed him holographic maps of the affected systems, detailed readings of energy fluctuations, and simulations of how the fault might expand. Elias took notes carefully, asking questions, making calculations, and proposing solutions. By the end of the meeting, Elias felt both overwhelmed and determined. The task ahead was enormous, but the recognition of humanity's abilities had strengthened his resolve. He realized that his species had something no other species possessed, a balance of intelligence, creativity, and moral judgment. This combination allowed humans to face uncertainty without giving in to fear. As he left the private room, Elias noticed that the corridors of the Concorde seemed quieter than before. The hustle of diplomats and delegates continued outside, but inside him, a sense of purpose burned brightly. He had been chosen not because of status or strength, but because of what humans could do when they worked together with reason and care. A small group of young delegates approached him, curious about the discussion. "Human," one asked, "what did Lady Serena mean by that phrase in the hall?" Elias smiled, realizing this was his chance to teach. "It means trust, respect. She believes that humans can act wisely when things are difficult, and she chose to place that trust in us. That's the true meaning." The young delegates nodded, some whispering to each other. Elias felt a new sense of pride, not personal pride, but pride in his species. Humanity had been recognized, not for aggression or dominance, but for courage, curiosity, and the ability to make careful decisions under pressure. Over the next few days, preparations for the journey began. Supplies were gathered, ships were readied, and teams of scientists and engineers assembled. Elias worked closely with Serena, translating her people's advanced knowledge into practical plans that humans could understand and implement. The collaboration was smooth, productive, and full of mutual respect. During a quiet moment, Serena approached him again. "Human," she said softly, "you have adapted quickly. I knew you would. That is why I chose to place my trust in humanity. You are capable of thinking beyond fear, and that is rare. Remember this as we move forward. The galaxy will test us in ways we cannot yet imagine." Elias looked at her, feeling the weight of responsibility again. "I understand. We will not fail." Serena nodded, her crystalline form glowing softly in the ambient light. "I know you will not. Humanity is remarkable. I am glad that the universe has allowed our paths to cross." As Elias looked out at the stars once more, he understood something important. This was more than a mission. It was an opportunity to show the galaxy what humans could do when given trust, responsibility, and a chance to act with courage and wisdom. It was an opportunity to prove that humanity's strength lay not in weapons or technology, but in heart, intelligence, and unity. The journey ahead would be challenging. The shimmering fault was only the beginning, and who knew what other surprises the galaxy held. But Elias was ready. With Serena's guidance and humanity's potential at his side, he felt certain they could face whatever came next. And so, as the Concorde's lights dimmed for the evening, Elias Ward, a human among countless species, prepared to take the first steps on a mission that could change the future of the galaxy. Trust had been placed in him, and he would not let it be wasted. The stars outside the window seemed to shine a little brighter that night, as if acknowledging the start of something new. The stellar horizon cut through the darkness of space like a silver arrow. Commander Elias Ward stood on the bridge, his hands resting lightly on the railing. Outside, the stars stretched infinitely, twinkling like tiny beacons in a vast, silent ocean. For the first time, Elias felt the weight of his responsibility not just for himself, but for humanity and the galaxy itself. The ship had been outfitted with advanced technology from both human and ether engineers. Its hull was reinforced, its navigation systems precise, and its energy shield stronger than anything Elias had seen before. Yet, despite the ship's strength, he knew the true challenge lay ahead not in the ship's hull, but in understanding and controlling the mysterious shimmering fault beside him. Lady Serenia Valar moved with her usual grace. Her crystalline body glowed softly under the bridge's lights. "We approach the outer systems," she said. "The fault lies beyond these coordinates. You will see its first effects soon." Elias nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and apprehension. "I understand. How will we know when we are close?" "The energy fluctuations will become visible," Serenia explained. "They appear as bands of shimmering light across space. They can distort gravity and warp signals. But do not fear. We have calculated safe paths through the early zones." As the hours passed, the crew watched carefully. Soon, the stars began to twist strangely, forming colors that were not natural: violet streaks, soft green halos, and faint lines of blue that seemed almost alive. Instruments aboard the stellar horizon recorded readings that Elias could barely comprehend. Graphs and waves dancing wildly across the displays. "Here it is," said Serenia, pointing toward a cluster of glowing bands. The shimmering fault. Elias felt a shiver run down his spine. The fault was more magnificent and terrifying than he had imagined. Bands of light pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat, stretching across hundreds of kilometers of space. The colors shifted constantly, making it hard to focus. "Is it dangerous?" a young engineer asked nervously. Serenia looked at him calmly. "It is unstable. If approached carelessly, it could interfere with your instruments or even the ship's gravity fields. But danger does not mean failure. It means attention, care, and teamwork." Elias swallowed. Humanity had faced many dangers before, but this was unlike anything on Earth. No ocean, no mountain, no battlefield had ever looked like this. And yet, he felt an odd sense of hope. Humans were not afraid of the unknown. They learned from it. They adapted. "Prepare the sensors," Elias said, his voice steady. "We need to map these fluctuations carefully before moving closer." The crew worked efficiently. Holographic maps of the shimmering fault began to appear, revealing its strange patterns and pulsing energy streams. Each band of light seemed to move independently, sometimes merging, sometimes splitting apart. The E3 scientists on board pointed out unusual formations that suggested intelligent design. "They may not be natural," Serenia said softly. "The Fordburn built these systems long ago. What you see is their energy, still alive after millennia." Elias looked closer at the readings. The bands of light were not chaotic. They followed patterns, complex but ordered. "It's as if the fault itself is alive," he whispered. "Not alive as you think," Serenia said, "but reactive. The Fordburn machines respond to energy and presence. That is why caution is necessary. Every action we take can influence the fault, positively or negatively." Elias nodded. He felt the responsibility weigh even heavier. One wrong move could disrupt systems across multiple star systems. Yet, he also felt a quiet thrill. Humanity had been trusted with this task, and if they succeeded, it would be proof of what humans could achieve. As the ship approached the outer edges of the fault, instruments began to register disturbances. Small gravity shifts rocked the ship gently, and faint pulses interfered with communications. Crew members adjusted equipment and shields, their faces serious but focused. "Steady," Elias said. "Everyone stay calm. We move slowly and carefully. We watch, we learn, and we adapt. Hours passed like this, the stellar horizon threading through the outer layers of the fault. Elias noticed patterns emerging in the energy bands. Some pulsed faster, some slower, and some seemed to mirror movements from other bands across the cluster. "Look at this," said an engineer, pointing at a screen. "The pulses are synchronized, almost like a signal." Serenia's eyes glimmered. "Yes, this is what we suspected. The fault is communicating, in a way." The Fordburn machines were built to respond to stimuli, to interact with travelers, and to test adaptability. Elias leaned forward, fascinated. "A test?" "Yes," Serenia said. "Not a trap, but a challenge. They designed their systems to respond to intelligence and cooperation. If we act recklessly, the fault reacts unpredictably. If we act wisely, we gain understanding. Elias felt a spark of excitement. Humanity had always faced challenges like this. From early explorers charting unknown lands to astronauts stepping on distant worlds, humans had a way of confronting the unknown with both courage and cleverness. This was no different. The next day, the crew began small experiments. They sent probes into the fault, observing how the energy bands reacted. Each probe returned data, sometimes distorted, sometimes illuminating new patterns. Elias and Serenia studied the results together, making careful plans for how to proceed. "Notice how the pulses respond to movement," Serenia said. "They are not passive. They test coordination and timing. Move too quickly, and they react violently. Move too slowly, and they ignore you. You must find balance." Elias smiled faintly. "Then we act carefully, together. Watch the patterns, adjust, and proceed." Over the next several days, the crew made steady progress. They discovered that the fault's energy could be harnessed in controlled ways, revealing hidden pathways and chambers within nearby asteroids and small moons. Each discovery brought excitement, and even the most skeptical crew members began to believe that they could succeed. One evening, as Elias stood on the bridge, Serenia joined him. The stars outside glimmered, and the fault's light shimmered like liquid. "You are learning quickly," she said softly. "Humanity's ability to adapt, observe, and act with care is remarkable. That is why I place my trust in you." Elias looked at her, feeling a mix of pride and humility. "It's not just me. The crew is amazing. We work together, and we listen. That's how we succeed." Serenia's light flickered like a soft smile. "Yes, that is another reason humans are unique. You combine reason, courage, and unity. Many species can do one or two of these, but you do all three." Elias nodded, his gaze returning to the fault. "Then we keep moving forward, carefully, step by step." The following week brought their first major challenge. A large energy pulse surged through the fault, shaking the ship and sending instruments into temporary chaos. Crew members worked quickly, adjusting shields, recalibrating sensors, and communicating calmly under pressure. Elias took command, giving orders clearly and calmly. "Team, focus on stability. Observe the patterns. Don't react with fear. We adapt, we learn, and we continue." The pulse passed. The ship was intact. Data from the sensors showed a new pattern emerging in the fault's energy bands, as if the system acknowledged their careful response. The crew exchanged relieved smiles, and Elias felt a deep sense of accomplishment. "We passed the first real test," he said quietly. Together, Serenia's voice was calm but full of warmth. "Yes, this is what I hope to see. Humanity responds to challenges not with panic, but with intelligence and cooperation. That is the quality the galaxy needs." Elias realized that this mission was more than just exploration. It was a proof of humanity's potential. They were being tested not only by the fault, but by the universe itself. And so far, humanity had passed with honor. As the stellar horizon continued deeper into the fault, Elias felt a sense of anticipation. He knew there would be more challenges ahead, more complex puzzles, and more tests of skill and judgment. But for the first time, he understood something powerful. Humanity's true strength was not technology or power. It was their ability to face the unknown with courage, intelligence, and unity. And as the shimmering lights of the fault stretched endlessly before them, Elias knew that he and his crew were ready to meet whatever lay ahead. The stars outside seemed to watch them, twinkling as if encouraging the human explorers. For the first time in generations, humanity was stepping confidently into the larger galaxy not as strangers, but as trusted allies and capable problem solvers. The shimmering fault had begun its tests, but humanity was ready. The stellar horizon drifted carefully through the heart of the shimmering fault. Commander Elias Ward watched the strange bands of light pulse rhythmically outside the viewports. Each pulse seemed to have a life of its own, shifting in color and intensity, almost like the universe itself was breathing. Beside him, Lady Serenia Valar stood in quiet observation. Her crystalline form glowed softly under the ship's lights. refracting the strange colors outside into gentle rainbows. "We are nearing the core of the fault," she said. "This is where the forward-burn machinery is most concentrated." "Proceed carefully," Elias nodded. The crew had grown confident in navigating the outer layers of the fault, but the core was another matter entirely. The energy readings were far stronger here. Gravity warped slightly in areas, and instruments sometimes flickered or behaved unpredictably. It was clear that one wrong move could send the ship into an unstable zone. "Prepare the probes," Elias instructed. "We will send small exploratory drones first, map the patterns, and then decide the next steps. No risks we cannot control." The crew moved quickly and efficiently. Probes shot into the swirling bands of light, transmitting data in real time. The images were astonishing. Deep within the fault, massive structures glowed faintly beneath layers of energy. They were geometric, perfectly shaped, and arranged in patterns that suggested intentional design. It was clear the forward-burn had built these systems to last. But their purpose was not immediately obvious. "They are more advanced than we imagined," an engineer whispered, awe in her voice. "Look at the symmetry, the energy flow. It's like nothing we've ever seen." Serenia nodded. "Yes, the forward-burn were masters of energy manipulation. They created systems that could respond, adapt, and even learn. That is why this fault is not simply a danger, it is a puzzle. A challenge for those who can understand it." Elias felt a thrill of excitement. Humanity had faced many challenges before, but few had demanded both intellect and patience like this. He glanced at the crew. Each member's eyes were wide with wonder, yet focused on the task. Their teamwork, careful observation, and quick problem-solving were exactly what Serenia had spoken of. "Notice the response patterns." Serenia continued. "The structures react to the probes. They are testing us, in a way. They respond not to force, but to understanding. Approach too carelessly, and they will shut down or become unstable. Approach with insight, and they may guide you further." Elias leaned closer to the display, studying the movements of the energy bands. "It's like they want us to learn, not just to navigate. They respond to how we think." "Exactly," Serenia said. "The forward-burn left these systems to challenge and train others. Not to harm, but to teach. The ones who succeed gain knowledge. That is the purpose of the shimmering fault." The realization filled Elias with determination. This was not a simple rescue or exploration mission. It was a test of humanity's intellect, patience, and collaboration. He felt proud that humans had been chosen to face a dot. As the day passed, the crew worked in shifts, sending probes deeper, adjusting their movements based on the feedback from the energy bands. Slowly, patterns emerged. The bands pulsed in sequences that suggested a form of communication. Though it was not language as humans knew it, it was more like logic, mathematics, and rhythm combined. "We may be able to synchronize with them," Elias said thoughtfully. "If we can match their patterns, maybe the systems will respond more clearly." Serenia's glow brightened slightly. "That is a wise approach. Observation, understanding, and synchronization, that is the method of success. Proceed carefully, human." Elias nodded. Together with the crew, they began a careful experiment. Using the ship's instruments, they emitted controlled energy pulses that mirrored the patterns observed in the fault. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, the bands of light began to respond. They shifted in harmony with the ship's signals, forming shapes and channels that had not been visible before. "Look," an engineer exclaimed. "It's opening pathways. We can see structures beneath the energy now." Elias felt a rush of excitement. The fault was not a random danger. It was a carefully designed system, responding to intelligence, patience, and teamwork. Humanity's approach was working. The crew maneuvered the ship through the newly revealed channels. Inside, they discovered massive, crystalline structures, each humming with stored energy. Some looked like towers, others like domes, all arranged in geometric precision. Strange inscriptions and markings ran along the surface as symbols that pulsed faintly with light. "These must be the forward-burn energy nodes," Serenia said. "Each node stores power and knowledge. They are connected across vast distances, and they react to those who enter with understanding." Elias studied the nodes, realizing that their designs were functional as well as beautiful. "They are teaching us," he said, "not threatening us. They want us to learn how to interact with them." "Yes," Serenia agreed, "and humanity is proving capable. This is exactly what I hope to see. Your species' combination of curiosity, patience, and cooperation allows you to progress where others might fail." As they explored deeper, one of the crew discovered a particularly large node, pulsing with a steady rhythm. Its light was softer than the others, and the patterns seemed almost musical. Elias approached the console to study it, this node. He murmured, "It's different. It feels." "Aware?" Serenia nodded. "It is. The Fordburn machines are not sentient as humans understand sentience, but they are responsive. Some nodes record, analyze, and react to presence and behavior. This one is central. It may contain the key to stabilizing the fault." Elias realized the enormity of the discovery. If humanity could understand this node, they could gain knowledge and control over the fault in a safe way, benefiting countless worlds. The responsibility was immense. Carefully, he began to interact with the node. The crew mirrored his actions, sending synchronized pulses and monitoring the response. The node reacted immediately, its light shifting in recognition, guiding them toward the next steps. It was like solving a complex puzzle, one that required logic, teamwork, and insight. Hours passed as the crew worked in perfect coordination. Finally, the node stabilized, sending out a stream of controlled energy that balanced the surrounding fault. The stellar horizon remained steady, instruments normal, and the swirling lights outside now appeared calm and harmonious. The crew erupted in quiet applause, relieved and exhilarated. Elias allowed himself a small smile, feeling the satisfaction of achievement. They had not only survived the fault, they had begun to understand it. Serenia approached him, her glow brighter than ever. "You have done well, human. Humanity has faced this challenge with patience, intelligence, and unity. That is the quality that the galaxy needs. The fault is not only stable now, but it has begun to share knowledge. You may access information left behind by the Fordburn and use it wisely." Elias felt a surge of pride, not for himself, but for the crew and humanity. Their approach of careful observation, teamwork, and understanding had succeeded where fear and aggression might have failed. They had passed the test. "Thank you, Lady Serenia," Elias said. "But this is only the beginning. There is so much more to learn here." "Yes," Serenia said, her voice calm yet full of warmth. "And you will. Humanity has proven capable of facing the unknown. There will be more tests, more discoveries, and more responsibilities. But I have no doubt that you can meet them. You are exactly what the galaxy needs at this moment." As the stellar horizon drifted gently through the stabilized core of the shimmering fault, Elias looked out at the patterns of light surrounding them. Each pulse, each shimmer, seemed to acknowledge their presence. It was as if the Fordburn machines themselves were approving of humanity's actions, recognizing the intelligence, patience, and cooperation that had guided them. Elias realized something important. The fault had not been a threat. It had been an opportunity, a way to test, teach, and reveal. And humanity had proven that they were ready to face the challenges of the larger galaxy, not with power or force, but with courage, intelligence, and unity. The stars outside the window shimmered gently, as if the universe itself was watching and approving of their progress. For the first time in generations, humanity was not merely a participant in galactic affairs. They were a trusted, capable ally, capable of solving challenges that others could not. And as the stellar horizon moved through the fault, Elias knew that this journey, this challenge, had shown something greater than technology or strength. It had shown the true power of humanity, the ability to face the unknown with wisdom, cooperation, and heart. The shimmering fault had been tamed, but it also had many secrets left to reveal, and humanity was ready to uncover them all. The stellar horizon hovered in the heart of the shimmering fault. Commander Elias Ward watched the radiant energy pulse around them. After days of careful exploration and delicate interaction with the Fordburn machines, the fault had been stabilized, but Elias knew there was still more to discover. The fault was not merely a hazard, it was a library of knowledge. left by a civilization far more advanced than any alive today. Beside him, Lady Serenia Valor's crystalline form glimmered softly. "You have proven humanity capable," she said. "But there is one final step." The Forborn left their knowledge in a central node, a repository that will only respond to those who understand the principles of care, cooperation, and intelligence. "This is the ultimate test," Elias nodded. He felt the weight of responsibility pressing on him. The knowledge contained in this node could shape the future of many worlds. It could be a source of great power, but with that power came responsibility. He looked at his crew, each member ready and focused, and felt reassured. Humanity had succeeded before they could succeed again. "Prepare the approach," Elias instructed. "We move slowly, carefully. Observe patterns, do not rush, and follow the signals. This is not just about technology, it's about understanding." The crew nodded, and the ship advanced toward a massive crystalline structure in the center of the fault. It pulsed gently, sending out waves of energy that interacted with the surrounding bands. Instruments recorded patterns that Elias and the engineers began to decode. The node seemed to respond to harmony, collaboration, and intelligence rather than any single action. "Notice the sequence," Elias said. "Each pulse has a rhythm. We must match it, step by step, as a team." Serenia watched with her usual calm attention. "Correct. You understand. The Forborn machines test not only skill but the ability to work together. This is why humans were chosen. You act with unity where others may fail, for ours." The crew synchronized their actions with the node's energy pulses. Lights shifted in response, forming pathways and revealing hidden interfaces. Holographic displays appeared around the node, showing symbols, diagrams, and flowing streams of information. It was overwhelming, but Elias and his team approached it methodically, decoding patterns and sharing insights. "This is incredible," said one of the young engineers. "It's like the node is teaching us how to interact with it." "Yes," Elias said, smiling. "We're learning, not just observing. That's why it responds." Cooperation and understanding are the key. As they continued, the central node pulsed more brightly, sending waves of energy that flowed through the ship and into the surrounding fault. The patterns became more complex, revealing details about Forborn engineering, energy manipulation, and star systems stabilization. The knowledge was immense, but humanity's careful approach allowed them to absorb it step by step. Serenia's voice broke the silence. "Humanity has succeeded. You have met the final challenge. The node recognizes your intelligence, patience, and unity. Its knowledge is now accessible to you for the good of the galaxy." Elias felt a surge of pride, tempered by humility. He understood that this was not just a personal achievement. It was a reflection of humanity's potential. Humans had faced unknown challenges before and had succeeded through intelligence, courage, and cooperation. Now, the galaxy had witnessed it, prepared to store and transmit the data. Elias instructed, "We will bring this knowledge back to the Concord and share it responsibly. It could change how many species approach energy, exploration, and cooperation." As the crew worked, Serenia approached Elias. Her light shimmered softly. "Human, you have done more than stabilize the fault. You have shown what your species can achieve. Courage and intelligence alone are not enough. Unity is what completes the equation. You have proven it." Elias nodded. "Thank you, Lady Serenia. But none of this would have been possible without the team. Humanity succeeds because we work together." She inclined her head slightly. "Exactly. That is why I spoke in the Grand Hall. Humanity's strength is not just in one individual, but in the collective ability to act wisely and with care. The galaxy needs this now more than ever." The ship hummed as data flowed from the central node. Diagrams of energy networks, designs for sustainable star systems, and simulations of interstellar travel streamed across the screens. Each piece of knowledge was powerful, but the crew handled it with careful attention, knowing that misuse could have consequences. Ours turned into a full cycle of the fault. Finally, the stellar horizon had recorded and analyzed all the information the node could provide. The shimmering fault itself seemed calmer, almost serene, as if acknowledging their success. The lights shifted gently, pulsing in harmony with the ship. "This is more than knowledge," Elias said softly. "It's a responsibility. We have the power to use it for good, to help stabilize systems, prevent disasters, and unite species in ways that were not possible before." "Yes," Serenia said, her voice calm but full of warmth. "That is the essence of humanity's potential. Strength comes not from domination, but from wisdom, collaboration, and care. You have demonstrated that. The galaxy will remember it." As the stellar horizon prepared to leave the fault, Elias looked out at the stars beyond. They seemed brighter, as if the universe itself recognized the achievement. He realized that this journey was more than a mission. It was proof that humanity's unique qualities could shape the future. The return journey to the Orion Concorde was filled with quiet reflection. The crew shared their excitement about the discoveries, but also the responsibility they now carried. Every step of the mission had reinforced a single truth. Humanity's greatest strength lay not in weapons or technology, but in the ability to think, act, and work together. When the stellar horizon finally returned to the Concorde, the Grand Hall was waiting. Delegates from countless species gathered, eager to hear the results. Elias stepped forward, carrying the knowledge of the shimmering fault and the forward-burn systems. Serenia took her place beside him. "Delegates of the Concorde," she announced, "humanity has proven itself capable of facing the unknown. They have stabilized the shimmering fault, interacted successfully with ancient forward-burn systems, and accessed knowledge that can benefit all worlds. Their actions demonstrate intelligence, courage, and unity. We have much to learn from them." The hall erupted in applause, not of surprise, but of respect. Humans had shown that their species could act wisely, adapt to unknown challenges, and work together when the stakes were highest. Elias felt a quiet pride, knowing that the recognition was for all of humanity, not just himself. He turned to Serenia. "This knowledge, it's incredible, but we must use it carefully to help others, not to dominate them." "Yes," she said. "That is why you were chosen. Power alone is meaningless. Wisdom and cooperation are what matter. Humanity understands that, and that is why you succeed where others might fail." Elias stepped forward to address the Concorde. "Delegates," he began, "what we have learned in the shimmering fault is more than technology. It is a lesson in understanding, cooperation, and patience. These qualities allow us to face the unknown without fear. We can use this knowledge to help stabilize systems, share discoveries, and unite our species for the benefit of all. Humanity will act not to control, but to support, guide, and protect." The delegates listened, some nodding, some whispering, all focused. Elias realized that this was the moment when humanity had truly arrived in the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as trusted allies and problem solvers. Serenia's voice echoed softly in his mind, a calm reminder: courage, intelligence, and unity are the greatest strengths. As the convocation ended and the delegates returned to their worlds, Elias felt a deep sense of fulfillment. The shimmering fault had been a test, a challenge, and a gift. Humanity had proven its worth, and as the stars shone brightly outside the Concorde, Elias Ward knew one thing clearly: the galaxy had seen humanity at its best. It was a species capable of extraordinary feats, not through strength alone, but through heart, intelligence, and unity. The journey had changed them all. Humanity had left its mark on the galaxy, and the echoes of their actions would be felt for generations. The future was wide and unknown, but Elias smiled, knowing that humanity was ready to meet it. Together, the shimmering fault had taught a simple truth: greatness is not given. It is earned through courage, cooperation, and understanding. And humanity had earned it. The stars outside seemed to shine a little brighter that night, as if the universe itself was watching, acknowledging, and welcoming humanity as a true partner among the stars.